Hey, y'all, it's James, Quantum Mechanic. Today we're going to be talking about tools you need to get stuff done. When something's broken or needs to be broken or stuck or needs to get unstuck, we're going to talk about some of the tools I use to get out strip fasteners, hard to access bolts, just parts that don't come apart, things like that. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go in as much detail as I can for a lot of the tools I use. This is not everything. It's going to be everything you see here, plus some power tools, plus some specialty tools, pry bars, stuff like that. So first let's talk about hammers. Okay, hammers is definitely going to be probably your biggest friend, just giving you a little bit of advantage to what you need. So these are the three hammers I use. These are only three hammers I have. 3-pound mini sledge, and something with a nice short handle. I like that a lot. It gives you some access to swing. I don't work on big, heavy equipment, so I don't need anything with a super long handle or anything very heavy. This does more than enough, hitting things out like wheel studs or something like that. Is more than enough. I also use this to get off stuck brake rotors or drums or something, anything like that. This does it. I primarily use this to hit my wrenches or my ratchets because it's a little bit softer. I like using my palm all that much, so I whip this out if I need to give it a little bit more. I'll bring this and I'll use this just cheap one from Pittsburgh, but it works really good. No complaints there. And then a nice ball peen hammer. I find that this portion of the hammer actually gives me a little bit more access. This is a little bit too big sometimes, so I'll use this to knock out bolts. Like if I'm doing strut tower, and those two bolts that hold the strut tower on the steering knuckle, I'll use this to bang the nuts out, or the bolts out. So just a 24-ounce hammer, something simple, nothing crazy there. Okay. Next, this is you gotta have a cheater bar. I've had this cheater bar for I don't know how long. You notice I don't hardly use it anymore. The glory of a wrench extender. Okay, I've actually chewed this one up and gnarled it up, putting up a little bit too much torque on it. This is a cheap one, but something like this to give yourself a little bit more of a mechanical lever advantage, or better yet, my personal favorite, just a very, very long ratchet. Okay, this is one from Gear Wrench, something that locks. This is absolutely fantastic, in varying lengths of half-inch ratchets, going from, you can even go longer than this and shorter, but something with some length to it to give yourself a little bit more. Half-inch isn't something that you really need to be able to be fitting in a tight space, so having that extra length really helps. So really, really, really great here. Definitely want to have yourself a good long ratchet. Okay, next is going to be pinches and chisels. Okay, so in no particular order, right? We have some cold chisels here. We have some drifts and punches and stuff like that. I like to have just a varying bits of sizes. You never really know what you need these for. I use them a lot for, knocking out fasteners, or, even if you have like a fuel pump or something like that, these are really great for getting that ring off. All kinds of different things you can possibly think of. These come in super great handy. And I like having them when they have a longer handle and a shorter handle. I also like this chisel a lot. This is just a cheap one from Harbor Freight, but it's nice and thick. I use this a lot. I like how wide it is, how kind of girthy it is, and you can really put some force on this. So this is, CV axles, broken bolts, steering knuckles, those VW and Audi's suspension, just all kinds of different things. Really, really, really work great there. This is one of those pry bars that go onto your ratchet. This actually works really well. I've used it a handful of times. It's nice to get the angle that you need to get on something. Sometimes a pry bar just doesn't quite fit in there. So being able to stick this in somewhere and use your ratchet to get it off is really good. And then also we have some brass punches. Okay, I like brass punches. They're softer than most metals, so you don't have to worry about them damaging or sparking as well. It's another one if you want to use it for a fuel pump. That's really great for that. These are from Matco. You don't have to get Matco. It's just a piece of brass. But okay, next, these are kind of specialty, but not really. Okay, I like these reverse fluted nut and bolt extractors. These work really, really great. You put them on, you hammer them on a little bit, and then you can access them from the side using a wrench or with a 3/8 drive. So really, really great tool there. Now these are really unique. I really like these a lot. I just picked some of these up. They're a normal 6-point hex, but they have that bite technology or whatever. So, and this is really soft too. So you can put this over the rounded off fastener, okay? And then you put yourself a 12-point socket on here, and I'll tell you, this grabs really, really, really well. So super good. I used these most recently on some oil pan bolts that were stripped from a customer that tried to do the work themselves. So really, really good. Okay, we'll talk about this because here, center punch. Center punch I use for all kinds of things, usually for setting center for a drill bit. And as you can tell, all my small drill bits are eaten up. This is bad advice. I use cheap drill bits and just buy new ones. I should invest in a good set, but I don't. Anyhow, nice. So set your center, drill with that. Really good tool there. Use a step drill bit, really for wallering out holes if you ever have to up a bolt size. Let's say you tapped a new bolt and you want to up the bolt size. This is something you would use. All different sizes there. Files or mini files or whatever you want to call them. They're really great. I use these a lot for cleaning up threads. So this one's kind of triangular shaped. This is really good for getting onto those male threads of something and cleaning it out. But just in general, they're really good for some fine detail work. Good set of wire wheels. Okay, wire wheels to clean up the threads before you take something apart. So I have a whole assortment of wire wheels in here and use them all the time. You can do all kinds of different things with these, but really cleaning up threads is to help take things apart is really what you need. Okay, so next thing is impact driver. So you're gonna want yourself a nice impact driver. This is from Mac. Harbor Freight makes one that's pretty good as well. You mostly use this for those screws on the Honda rotors, but you can definitely use this for other things as well. I have an adapter in here, a 1/4-inch adapter, if I wanted to use this on and a bolt or something like that. But the impacting force on this thing is what really helps to break fasteners loose. So really, really nice to have one of these. Okay. This is just a regular nut splitter. I haven't used this a ton, but it definitely comes in handy. If you have the access, you can put this onto a nut and you can screw it down and split the nut as it be. So really, really great tool there. This is actually mostly used for lower control arms. So this is to put on the lower control arm. You put your pry bar in here like this, and then you can pry onto the lower control arm. I included this into my bad day drawer because sometimes you're trying to get a ball joint off or a steering knuckle or something. This comes in handy, and it's nice and robust. They're cheap, so I like these a lot. Okay, so the next thing for getting out damaged fasteners is going to be something like this. Okay, basically what you do is you use these. They're called speed outs. This one's titanium. You get them all over the place. I have a couple of sets of these, but basically what you do is it's reverse threaded, or it's reverse threaded here, so you can drill into something reverse, chew it up, and then this will bite as it pulls it out. So really, really great tool, all different sizes there. This is something very similar. It's reverse threaded, meant to, you kind of waller it out with or drill it out with a drill bit and then make a little bit of room, and then this can really grab in there, bite the bolt and pull it out, or stud. So really, really great set of tools there. All right, so the next thing's going to be pry bars. So I got these from Walmart, the Hyper Puff ones. These are really nice. I think I paid like $100 for all of these. And I think there's even another smaller one that I really like as well. But these are really, really great. This is a snap-on pry bar, screwdriver pry bar. It's straight. These are all curved. I don't have any indexing pry bars. The biggest thing I have for that is this, meant for flooring. But this is really, really nice one as well. It's nice and thick. You can put some meat on that. I just recently picked this up like less than a year ago. I don't use it all that much, but I like that it has this this right here. So if you wanted to really pry on something, you could. So this has come in handy a few times. But a nice, good long pry bar. Use these for all different sorts of things. The longer it is, obviously, the more lever advantage you get out of it. But these are good for, really, if you need to move an engine. Let's say you're trying to get an alternator out of a tight spot. You've loosened up the motor mounts. Use one of these pry bars to kind of move the engine a bit to gain yourself a little bit of access. Why fight the engine when you can put a pry bar on there and just barely move your hand and get a lot of torque out of it? So really great. You got to have all these different sizes. Sometimes the access is limited, so you got to work with what you can get. So really, really great set of pry bars, what I recommend. And these Hyper Puff ones are super, super nice, made in America. I've been using them for a bit now, and they're just hands down some of the best pry bars I've ever used. I also like to use some old screwdrivers. Now that Craftsman's no longer made in America, there's no way I'm going to warranty this, so I'm going to keep it as is. But I use these as pry bars all the time. I know you're supposed to. I know you're not supposed to, but I don't care. These are my tools. I use them how I want. Same goes to anybody watching this. Use them how you want. So really, really, really good as well, because they're small and you can kind of get in there and pick and twist and turn and just overall just good. Okay. Next thing, these are specifically for CV axles, okay? They're meant to kind of go in and pop the CV axle so you can get it on both sides. This one's tapered, this one's straight. These work really great for CV axles, but I've used them for things they're not supposed to be used for, and they hold up pretty good too. Got those cheap off of Amazon as well. Okay, so the next thing is going to be kind of pliers, okay? You're definitely going to want yourself some diagonal cutters or dikes or whatever you want to call them, side cutters. These are just really great for cotter pins and just a slew of things. So really good. You can grab the cotter pin and pull it, or just cut it off. Zip ties, wiring, pretty much anything you can think of. These will do the trick for you. So a good set of diagonal cutters. Like I said in a previous video, these are the best pliers ever made. These and the medium-sized ones and the smaller ones. So you cannot go wrong with these pliers right here. Really great. Same thing with these. These are really aggressive. So they really, when you grab onto something, they really chew it up and mar it up. So once again, great set of tools for just removing things when you're having a bad day. I just picked these up. I haven't used them all that much, but a good set of locking pliers too will do you a world of good. I mean, just that's all I got to say about these. Really good set of those. Now these Cobra pliers have been absolutely fantastic. A good set of pliers like this, a good set of channel lock style pliers are really good. You can do all kinds of things more than just, grab a bolt or grab a fastener or pull on things. These are just really if you can imagine trying to put some force onto something when you really need to turn it out or bend it or manipulating some metal or a bracket or something like that, these will pretty much do it. So really great there. Next thing, these are the largest pliers I have. A good set of large channel locks, okay? When you really need the leverage on something. And I've used these channel locks for really, really small things when I just needed the leverage to get on it. So a good set. These are old Craftsman ones. These are the Icon Swedish pipe wrench pipe pliers. These are just really, really great. I can't say enough good things about these. Really good when you need to grab onto something and twist it out, or if you just, God forbid, you need to grab on something and break it off. This will do it. So though these kind of live in my bad day drawer. I use these all the time for other things as well, but definitely a good set of pliers is something you're going to need for that instance. Okay, so next, a good penetrant. I like PB Blaster. So a lot of people use all different kinds of stuff, liquid wrench, WD-40, whatever. I like PB Blaster. It seemed to work really well for me. But yeah, a good penetrant, something that can, break through some rust, something that can get past the fastener, something that can help, really, really help break nuts loose. Okay, so this is really good. My absolute favorite for getting fasteners undone is a torch. Okay, this is Map Pro, not my favorite. I prefer Map Gas. It gets a little bit hotter, but this is really good. If you get something hot like a bearing or the outer casing of a bearing, when you get something hot, what it does is it expands. Okay, if you can get something to expand a little bit, what that allows you to do, let's say it's a nut, you heat up the nut, it expands enough to take the pressure off the threads for you to get it out. Okay, so just be careful when you're using a heat gun or using heat that you heat up what you mean to heat up. Okay, if you're trying to get a bolt out, obviously you don't want to heat up the bolt. Okay, you want to heat up the outer diameter of something. Same thing with a bearing. If you're trying to get the inner bearing out of like a steering knuckle, you want to heat up the outer bit. Anyways, if you're trying to get a bearing off of a shaft, you want to heat up the bearing, okay, not the shaft, because if the shaft expands, it's going to make it harder to get in. Okay, it's physics, right? So a good something that you can get, and I like to use a heat torch until it's like glowing red. If the hotter you can get it, the better. If I'm already having a bad day and I have to break this out, then it's going to get red and it's going to come out. Okay, I don't carry an oxyacetylene torch. That would be absolutely fantastic. This does take a little bit of while for things to heat up, but heat is your absolute friend when something is stuck. And if you haven't used heat before, oh my God, you're missing out. Such a time saver, such a headache saver, such a knuckle saver. Really, really good. So these are the power tools I use, okay? Pretty self-explanatory, but we'll kind of go through some of the things I use them for a lot. I use this one a lot for modifying tools. It's quick and easy to grab. It's got a ton of power. I use it for cutting things, for grinding on things. Even though I shouldn't, I don't care. And this wheel needs to get changed out. But anyway, I use this for all sorts of things, as you can tell, and it just works great. You know, it's really good. Like, let's say I have a stripped out Phillips head for whatever reason, right? We'll call it that. A stripped out Phillips head. What I can do is I can use this to cut a flat in there. That now I can put a screwdriver in there to knock it out. Okay, so just all different kinds of things you can use this for. Really, really great tool. Highly recommend if you are in the automotive field. So it's got a nice, good, small form factor. Okay. I use this mostly for cleaning up surfaces. That's why I have the roll-lock discs on there. That's what usually lives on there. But I can put a wire brush on here, a cutoff wheel, all different kinds of things. Kind of just get me a little bit different access. And I like the right angle over the straight die grinder just because I feel like I have a little bit more control and I have more access to things, okay? Another really good one would be a Dremel, okay? I can't find my Dremel right now, but a good Dremel, it doesn't have to necessarily be battery powered, but a good Dremel can do all sorts of things. I'm not going to talk about that because I'm sure that's beating a dead horse, but Dremels, super, super great. Okay, next is a drill, right? Obviously, you're going to need a drill for drilling all those drill bits and the easy outs and all that kind of stuff like that. So a good drill, I like this one because it has the hammer function. But any kind of drill works, but you want something with some power. I don't have a right angle drill. I usually use this with a right angle attachment if I need it. But yeah, a good drill will do you wonders there. And then probably one of my favorites is a good impact. You know, if you can't get it by hand, if this won't get it off, it'll break it off. Okay, so a good impact. This is the newest gen high torque from Milwaukee too. All right. Next is going to be this right here. This is just a cheap hacksaw, sawzall. It works really, really well. I use this for cutting off fasteners. I've used it for cutting through suspension component bolts, just all different kinds of things. You know, when the bolts are all stripped off and you need to take something off, cut right through it. You'll be there for a minute. This isn't the fuel version, but it works well enough. And can't say good things about this tool right here. So and I actually use it around the house too for cutting up trees and things like that. So just anyway, really good tool, really versatile. And then get yourself a good blade. A blade is probably just as important. Same thing for these cutoff wheels, just as important as the tool is, okay? All right, so another one is an angle grinder. You're gonna need an angle grinder, okay? If you're doing any kind of welding fabrication, obviously, but I've used this to cut through CV axles. I've used it to cut off steering knuckles. I've used it to do all kinds of things, and it just goes. You know, if I know that I'm going to need to cut something and I have the access, this is the one I grab. Well, yes, this will do a lot of it. You know, you are kind of limited on how much you can cut through. You know, like I said, I took the guard off of this because I'm not afraid of OSHA coming around me. But yeah, you want to have something that and these are just absolutely, utterly fantastic. Really, really great tools. And I do what I can to keep the filters cleaned out on this one a lot, most of the time after I use it. So really, really great tools. Just the overall power tools that you're at a minimum you're going to need, right? Okay, and last but not least is going to be these two right here, okay? This grip edge set, I just picked it up a couple weeks ago, but I've already used it a handful of times, and it has been invaluable. The technology in this is actually really, really great. Highly, highly, highly recommend one of these. I cannot say good things. I mean, this has saved my butt a few times. So just highly recommend this set right here. It's probably the most affordable. I think you get the most bang for your buck in this set right here. So highly, highly, highly recommend this grip edge. Cannot say enough good things, right? Enough said. Okay, the next thing is going to be a good tap and die set. So I actually got this one from Harbor Freight. This is an Icon. I've never really had a nice tap and die set. I've had the same one for like 20 years and everything's missing on it. So I actually recently picked this up. This is a nice set. I like that it has a little tray that comes out. My absolute favorite that I ever used was the gear wrench, because the gear wrench has a ratcheting tap and a ratcheting die. Enough good things about having a good tap and die set, cleaning up threads, repairing threads. You know, I get calls all the time where the customer has chewed something up because they tried it themselves, and I come out there and I bust this out, and it easily pays for itself, for me anyway. So yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. Once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate this love and support, and if you guys want to see some more videos, let me know. All right, thanks a lot.